Welcome to the fourth episode of our video series examining the barriers to inclusion for autistic children in Pakistan. Today, we turn our spotlight on schools and their inclusion policies. We'll dive deep into some crucial questions. Do schools in Pakistan have inclusion policies? Do these policies extend to autistic children? And importantly, are schools willing to integrate autistic children into general education classrooms? Join us as we explore these pressing issues.
Hello, salam, and welcome back. Today we will discuss the barriers preventing schools from promoting integration and inclusion of autistic children in their classrooms. Before we dive into the literature, I want to share a short anecdote to highlight the lack of inclusion for autistic children in Pakistan. A few years ago, one of the autistic children I was working with was ready to be admitted into a mainstream school. Academically, he was at par with his peers and all behavior concerns had been subsided. It was a huge moment of victory for us, for him, and for his parents. We were all extremely proud of him because he had come such a long way. The parents had requested me to go with them to help with his admission in a mainstream school. That day is etched in my memory forever. We arrived at the school and were promptly made to sit and wait in the principal's office. When the principal finally arrived, the mother explained to the principal about her child and requested for admission. Throughout this interaction, I watched the principal as she continuously glared at the child. Without formally assessing or interacting with the child, the principal abruptly announced that it is not in the school's policy to admit such children. Following this, we were hastily ushered out of the principal's office and out of the school's premises. This is unfortunately just one of many examples and incidences in which autistic children have been denied admission to mainstream schools without any clear explanation. Why do schools refuse admission to autistic children in Pakistan? What obstacles are preventing schools from integrating and including autistic children into the mainstream classrooms? After thoroughly examining an extensive body of literature, several key factors emerged that highlight the challenges mainstream schools face in inclusion. A quantitative study conducted by Chaudhary revealed multiple barriers to the inclusion of autistic children in schools. A major impediment highlighted towards inclusion was the fact that autistic children with sensory issues or behavior concerns will change the entire dynamics of the mainstream classroom, therefore making it difficult for the teachers to focus on the children. A second impediment highlighted was that schools do not adequately train teachers for inclusion, thereby making proper inclusion on the part of teachers impossible. Additionally, to ensure proper inclusion, it is important to have small controlled class sizes. However, the majority of schools in Pakistan have an average class size of 27 students, therefore making it impossible to have a controlled classroom. Building on Chaudhary's 2019 work, in 2020, Thakur et al. Conducted interviews of 15 parents and 15 teachers from different schools across Lahore, Pakistan. The interview data, analyzed using Navivo, was organized according to themes and coded accordingly. This revealed the significant challenges that parents face during the admission process at schools. Out of the 15 participants interviewed, 9 reported issues related to diagnosis and assessment and the required level of educational services and schooling support. First, diagnosis and assessment processes were frequently reported as inadequate, with parents often feeling unsupported and confused about their child's specific schooling needs. This lack of clarity and precision in the assessment phase can hinder the development of effective and individualized education plans, which are tailored to meet the unique needs of each child. Additionally, concerns about educational services were commonly noted. Parents expressed a lot of frustration about the lack of support and services available in schools, with schools frequently lacking specialized programs and IEPs to meet their individual child's needs. Another prominent issue highlighted is that of finding suitable schooling systems. Parents reported significant difficulty in finding schools willing to accept their autistic children, particularly within general education settings that often declined admission to autistic children. Late admissions also pose a significant challenge, as some schools demonstrate reluctance in admitting children with autism. This often occurs due to the limited awareness and understanding among school staff about autism. 5 participants described delays in receiving admission for their autistic children due to schools' refusal to admit their child. One participant noted that gaining admission for their autistic child was particularly difficult due to the school's unawareness about autism. Increased training and awareness could perhaps alleviate some of these concerns and make the admission process easier for parents of autistic children. Finally, a number of participants believe that training on the part of teachers could help alleviate some of these concerns, making the admission process easier in the schooling systems. This in turn could help foster an environment that is friendly and more accepting towards autistic children. A more recent study conducted by Basit et al. In 2022 sheds light on several factors leading to exclusion on the part of schools. The researchers used a descriptive study to ask 50 general education teachers and 50 special education teachers questions aimed to address their perceptions about inclusive education practices. The survey consisted of a self-developed questionnaire consisting of 39 questions. These questions were designed to cover various areas related to the questions of inclusive education, ensuring a comprehensive understanding of teachers' perceptions and perspectives. Questions included inquiries about teachers' perceptions towards including children with disabilities in the mainstream classroom setting, and the necessary support systems required for inclusive education, and the problems associated with building an inclusive classroom environment. To analyze the responses, an independent sample t-test was applied. This was used to compare the mean scores of the responses between the general ed teachers and the special ed teachers. The study highlighted multiple gaps that exist. One of the primary gaps highlighted was that of a lack of teacher training and resource availability. Without proper training in inclusive education practices, educators and teachers may struggle to support students with diverse needs in the classroom. A second gap identified is the absence of support in terms of specialized equipment and resources in schools to accommodate out-of-school autistic children. The absence of all these supports limits the teachers and schools' ability to foster and create an inclusive classroom environment. A third gap highlighted is that the concept of inclusion is complicated and multidimensional, with various beliefs on the parts of educators and teachers which can contradict each other. This complexity can lead to misunderstandings and further complications in the actual implementation of inclusive education in classrooms. A final gap which was identified in the study is that there may be a general lack of understanding and awareness among educators regarding the principles and actual practices of what all inclusive education entails. This gap can lead to resistance on the part of teachers and school staff towards the actual implementation of inclusive education practices. Overall, the study pointed out deficiencies in the curriculum, pedagogical approaches, admission policies, infrastructural accessibility, and evaluation and assessment methods in schools, all of which hinder the inclusion of children with autism and other disabilities in mainstream classrooms.
Overall, the literature review uncovered significant impediments to the inclusion of autistic children in schools. Studies have shown that schools lack appropriate classroom environments, sufficient finances, teacher training, and effective pedagogies to support inclusion. So where does this leave the inclusion of autistic children in the primary years in Pakistan? Stay tuned as we delve into more barriers to inclusion in Pakistan to answer the question of inclusion.